I always believed that love, even if strained, would win out in the end, especially between a mother and her only child. When my husband passed away, it was just me and David. I gave him everything, my time, my savings, my support, even after he moved out, even when he forgot my birthday, even when months would go by with only a single text, "Need cash." I excused it. He's busy. He's young. He's trying to build something. That's what I told myself every time I waited on a call that never came. I was 67 when the chest pains started. Not the dull, come-and-go kind, but sharp, lightning bolts ripping through my ribs. I told David I needed surgery. "You'll be fine, Mom. You're always fine." That was his response. No visit. No offer to come. Just another dismissive text message that made my stomach sink. But I didn't argue. I was tired of begging for affection. So I packed my overnight bag and checked into the hospital alone. That's when I met Natalie, my nurse. She was younger than David, maybe 30, with soft eyes and the kind of kindness you can't fake. She helped me into my hospital gown and talked to me like I mattered. She asked if anyone would be visiting me. I hesitated, then just shook my head and smiled. "No, just me." She squeezed my hand. "Well, now you've got me." The morning of the surgery, Natalie held my hand all the way to the OR doors. My chest felt like it was caving in, not from the pain, but from the emptiness. Just before I went under, I asked the nurse to keep my phone in my locker. I didn't want to be distracted. I didn't want to see another cold text. When I woke up, Natalie was there again, fluffing my pillow and gently placing my phone beside me. "There's a message," she said gently. I didn't read it, but your face changed when the notification popped up. My fingers trembled as I unlocked it. From David, "Don't die yet. I still need the house." I stared at it. "No, how are you? No, I love you. No, I'm scared." Just a greedy reminder that I was an asset to him, not a mother, a walking deed with a weak heart. I stared at the words until my vision blurred, my throat closed up. This wasn't just disrespect, it was betrayal. And suddenly, everything in me shifted. Something hardened. Natalie came back in, offering me a cup of water. I looked at her and whispered, "How long have you been doing this?" "Almost a decade," she smiled. "Single mom, 2 kids, just trying to hold things together." "And who holds you together?" I asked. Her smile faltered. "No one really," she replied quietly. I didn't respond then. But something inside me had already started to draft the blueprint for a decision no one saw coming, not even me. I looked at the nurse, this stranger who had shown me more warmth in 24 hours than my own son had in a decade, and I felt a seed of something unfamiliar, clarity. 2 days after the surgery, I was still in the hospital, recovering slowly. My body ached, but my heart ached more. The message from David kept replaying in my mind like a broken record. It wasn't just a thoughtless comment. It was confirmation of something I had refused to admit for years. My son no longer saw me as his mother. I was simply an inconvenience standing between him and a property title. Natalie checked on me every few hours like clockwork. She brought warm towels, shared stories about her children, and even snuck me one of her homemade muffins from her lunchbox. I asked her once if the other patients got the same treatment. She laughed and said, "Only the ones who feel invisible." It hit me then. I wasn't just lonely. I had been made invisible in my own life. Meanwhile, David didn't call. Not once, but he did text again. "Hey, once you're back, we need to talk about transferring the deed before tax season. Don't want to get hit with fees." "No. How are you feeling?" "No. Can I help with groceries or pick you up?" Just a continuation of his business plan. That text, more than the first, solidified what I had to do. When Natalie came in later that evening, I asked her if she could sit for a while. She hesitated, clearly tired, but smiled and took the seat by my bed. I told her everything, about David, about the surgery, about the house. Her eyes filled with quiet sorrow as she listened. She didn't interrupt, just placed her hand on mine, steady and warm. "I'm so sorry," she whispered. "You deserve better." Then maybe it's time I gave better to someone else, I replied. The next morning, I called my lawyer from the hospital room. His voice crackled on speaker as I outlined what I wanted. At first, he thought I was confused. You want to sign over the house? Are you sure? Yes, I said calmly. To my nurse, Natalie. Full transfer, effective immediately. There was silence on the line. Then, all right, if that's your wish. Natalie nearly dropped the cup of tea in her hand when I told her. Her face turned pale. I can't accept that, Mrs. Grant. That's too much. No, I said gently. What's too much is the years I've spent giving everything to someone who only saw me as a safety net. You see me, you care, and you've never asked for anything in return. She started to cry. Real, overwhelmed tears. I don't know what to say. Then don't, I said. Just promise me you'll never let anyone feel forgotten in your house. David showed up 3 days later. Not because he cared, because he'd been notified of a legal change in property ownership. He stormed into the hospital room with the arrogance of a man who assumed everything still belonged to him. What the hell is this, Mom? He hissed, waving papers. You gave it to her? A nurse? I looked at him, no longer with sadness, but with something firmer. You gave up your right to that home the moment you treated me like a burden instead of your mother. But it's mine. You said you'd leave it to me. I said I'd leave it to my family, I replied, and I realized too late that not all blood is family. He stormed out, red-faced and fuming. Natalie stood in the doorway, uncertain. I smiled at her. You still want that muffin recipe? Weeks passed and life began to settle into its new shape. I was back home. Well, technically Natalie's home now, but she insisted I stay as long as I needed. The spare bedroom had become my sanctuary. Soft music played in the mornings. The scent of fresh coffee wafted through the hallway, and laughter echoed from her little daughter's room. It was a sound I hadn't heard in years. Warmth. Natalie never made me feel like a guest. She made me feel like someone. Every evening we'd sit on the porch with mugs of tea and talk about everything. Books, recipes, her shift stories. And though she never said it aloud, I knew she was overwhelmed by the gift I had given her. Not just the house, but the trust, the belief, something she hadn't received from many people in her life. As for David, the silence between us grew heavier. He didn't reach out, not to check on me, not even to argue. I heard through a distant relative that he was telling people I was losing my mind, that I'd been manipulated, that the nurse had scammed me. Typical. He never did handle no very well, especially when it came from a woman he thought he controlled. But the truth was simple. He'd had years to love me, to see me, to treat me as a mother, not a financial plan. He made his choice, and I made mine. The twist came a month later. One quiet Sunday afternoon, Natalie found an envelope in the mailbox addressed to her. No return address. Inside was a note scrawled in angry handwriting. Enjoy the crumbs, gold digger. You stole what wasn't yours. Natalie brought it to me, her hands shaking. I don't want this house to bring trouble, she said softly. I took the letter, read it once, and then calmly tossed it into the fireplace. The flames took it quickly. You didn't steal anything, Natalie. You earned what he thought he was entitled to. Still, I could tell the letter shook her. She began spending more time making repairs to the home, cleaning it like she was trying to prove she deserved it. I hated that. So I decided something else had to be done. I contacted a local journalist I knew, an old friend from the library committee, and shared my story. Not the messy drama, just the heart of it. An elderly woman who had no family left but found a daughter in the most unexpected place. The article ran under the title, She Was Treated Like a Burden Until Her Nurse Became Family. The story quietly went viral online. Comments flooded in from people around the world. Nurses, caretakers, daughters, and sons who said they cried reading it. Some even said they finally understood their own mother's silence. Others said they now felt seen. David, however, did not appreciate the public attention. He called me for the first time in months. This is how you repay me? He snapped. By turning me into a joke online? No, David, I replied, calm as ever. You did that yourself. Click. That was the last time I heard from him. Natalie's life began to blossom in the following months. She used part of her savings to start a small home care agency, Heart House Care. I offered to help manage the administrative side, but she refused payment. You're not an employee, she said. You're my partner. One day, I came home from a walk and found the living room transformed. A soft banner hung across the window. Happy Found Family Day. Natalie had baked my favorite cake. Her daughter ran up and handed me a drawing. It was me, her, and Natalie holding hands. I cried for a long time that night, but not out of sadness, out of the joy of finally being loved without condition. The house was no longer just a house. It was a home, one built not on entitlement, but empathy, not on inheritance, but intention. And as for David, I hope one day he understands that some things are worth more than property, like respect, kindness, and a mother's final decision to stop begging for love and start demanding dignity.